Well, what seems to be the story today has been earnings reaction, and HEG is a case in point. Let's bring on board Ravi Jhunjhunwala, the CMD and CEO at HEG, joining us on the show right now. Mr. Jhunjhunwala, congrats. The triple-digit growth streak clearly continues for you, thanks to the 5x surge that you've seen in graphite electrode prices. What was the average uptick in realizations in the first quarter, if you could highlight that?
See, unfortunately, we cannot give you the specific numbers. All I can say is that it has been higher than last year, last quarter. And going forward, we think that it'll still be higher. And as we had spoken last time, we had guided to a high 80s kind of a utilization for the whole year. So that impact has started coming in now, and as we go forward in the next 3 quarters, the quantities, volumes will keep going up a little bit here and there.
You're saying that you'll post higher growth in the next quarter than what you did already in the previous one?
See, that debottlenecking is in the process, and I think by the last quarter, which means October, December of this calendar year, we should see some easing on that part. We expect to get some higher quantities coming out of it, let's say in the October, December kind of a period.
The status of the needle coke procurement, give us a sense on that. To what extent has the Phillips 66 debottlenecking happened in Q1, and how did that impact needle coke prices?
No, needle coke will be in short supply, because this debottlenecking, what is happening in this company, only a part of that will come to the graphite industry. A larger part will probably go, and it will continue to go to China for the lithium batteries.
Right. Once the debottlenecking process is complete, do you expect decline in needle coke prices or decline in cost? Because analysts are worried that there still might be shortage of needle coke.
You see, these two questions are totally independent of each other. I'd again like to clarify that whatever is happening in China has, let's say, if I say it has very little effect or no effect, it is not a wrong statement to say, because whatever capacity of electrode is coming to China is, again, it's more of what they have been doing for the last so many years, and that is not the ultra high power. That is not the demand of electrodes that we or anybody else in the world caters to. China typically produces their 100% of their electrodes, which is called the low power, non-ultra high power. And this is all that they are building for future. And I'm sure you are aware that when China decided to close these 120, 140 million tons of the blast furnace capacities, at the same time they had guided to They were producing only 6% of their steel through electric arc furnace, and the government had put up a policy statement that going forward, they want to produce 20% of their steel through electric arc furnace by 2020. And so that 6% is already 9% by 2017, and by 2018 end, that is going to be 12%. So they would have doubled their electric arc furnace steel production from 50 million tons in 2016 to, let's say, 100 million tons. And going forward by 2020, they plan to go to about 160 million tons.
Okay. So given the capacity and demand supply dynamics that you just highlighted, when is it that you believe GE realizations would sustain, and could they really sustain for a longer period?
You see, again, in the marketplace, nobody can forecast, nobody can predict the numbers, nobody can say what pricing will be, but all I can say is that it's a very major structural change which has happened over the last 18 months in this industry. And given that it's a long-term change, I don't believe that China is going to loosen up on their intent on cleaning up the environment, and they're not going to, of course, restart the blast furnaces that they have taken off the ground, and that's the only change which has made the graphite industry change totally in the last 18 months. So if we believe in that China is serious about controlling the environment, which they are, on the supply side of electrode, it's a technology-oriented industry. There are only 6-7 players in the world, and even a small debottlenecking that we are talking about for about 20-25,000 tons. Although I don't know still, we will know more specifically in the next 3 months or so. We are still working on it. But given the long delivery period of all the equipments, it's not going to be any time less than 2.5 to 3 years. If you are talking about a new greenfield plant, my guess is it's going to be any time like 5 to 6 years. So on the supply side, we don't see any major changes happening. I mean, except these small debottleneckings that people like us are talking about, and that will also depend upon how the situation on the needle coke pans out.
You're looking at investing about $100 million for capacity expansion. What could be the source of this fund? Will this be an avenue for expansion for HEG in the carbon space?
See, answer to your first question is, given the cash flow that we have available right now, and going forward, we think that we will continue to have similar kind of cash flows, if not better. These expansions and debottlenecking, whatever we want to call it, we will not look for any debt. I mean, we have enough liquidity in the company to be able to take care of that. On the second question about a carbon-related product that we are looking at, I mean, it's too early to give you anything specific on that, but we are looking at a couple of options seriously, and it's a matter of another 3 to 6 months before we freeze our thoughts on that.
Okay. Thanks very much for joining us, Mr.